Oh, you're here. Totri, they're here.
Wow, look at that.
You want to do a show?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
It's Monday!
Whoa!
Welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app. Today, terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by the one, the only Chicken Little himself. Of course, we have Captain Redbeard behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Guys, do us a solid. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. I told Captain Redbeard off the top, let's just keep this music running for a little bit because I feel like this is how we need to start the day. I feel like this is how we got to start the week full of shows off with a bang. Rubus, we got a lot to get into today.
Exciting, packed show all around today.
All around. We're hitting football. We're hitting Natty. We're hitting Arizona State. We're hitting Notre Dame. We're hitting Bobby Hurley, Jayden Daniels. We got a lot.
Yeah.
We really do. Jaren Hamilton. We got so much to do today. How are you? How are your weekend though?
It's good. I like the energy you're bringing. Not the energy that we've had before, but
on the show or what?
No, just before the show.
Oh, you don't think so? You don't think so?
I think what I'm saying is this show brings joy, and I think I'm ready to have a joyous show.
You're ready to have a joyous show. Yes. I think that's fair.
Let's do it.
That's fair. Well, should we start off arguing?
Oh, let's do it.
Look,
I don't think we're gonna argue.
I don't think we're gonna argue either. But maybe somebody in the chat, maybe somebody that is watching back later or listening on audio, make sure you drop your comments if you want to argue or if you disagree with us. We'd appreciate everybody's opinion on here, especially if it is in agreement with ours. But
we really like those opinions.
In a couple of days, the National Coach of the Year award is going to be announced. The Bear Bryant Coach of the Year. Obviously, there's already been some awards that have been announced over the course of the last few weeks. Arizona State coach Kenny Dillingham, obviously in play for a couple of those. But this is realistically, when we're talking about the National Coach of the Year, the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year award is the one that really holds a lot of weight. So when looking at the finalists for the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year, there are a couple of names, but I realistically only think there's going to be two guys that you could make an argument for at this point.
Brent Brennan
and Erik Ruby.
Jed Fish.
I mean, it's a toss-up.
I'm coming up third.
It's a toss-up. You're right.
Definitely third.
You got Shane Beamer from South Carolina. Kurt Cignetti, obviously the coach at Indiana, who was the Bear Bryant Big Ten Conference Coach of the Year. You've got Boise State's coach. You've got Kenny Dillingham. You've got Marcus Freeman. You've got Rhett Lashley from Southern Methodist University, Jeff Monken, and then Steve Sarkisian. I believe that the only two names that you can realistically have a conversation about right now in regards to the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year are Arizona State coach Kenny Dillingham and Notre Dame coach Marcus Freeman. Of course, Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils, they were eliminated in that quarterfinal round of the college football playoff. Marcus Freeman and company playing for a national championship tonight, Monday, January 20th. Where do you feel like, before we get too deep into the discussion, where does your immediate kind of answer lean?
Kenny Dillingham.
Okay.
I think you have to kind of take into the same way that for Kurt Cignetti, people are like, oh, but it's Indiana. It's like, yeah. And I get it. And there's been a long storied history of sucking with Indiana. I think you look at what Kenny Dillingham did with ASU and where they started from at the beginning of the season to where they ended. And yes, Marcus Freeman's team has had a more successful season than ASU, but nobody has overachieved as much as Kenny Dillingham. And there's got to be some national recognition for this team.
Yeah.
And how good they were. And this feels like the easiest award to give out. And the one that is earned for sure.
100%. I think a big part of this discussion, right, that you have to have, at least on the Notre Dame side of things, is yes, you give credit to Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman for what they've been able to do this season. But at the end of the day, Notre Dame is not new to this discussion. Right. Notre Dame is here year over year over year over year. A top 10 team every single season, a team that you see in the playoff more times than you don't, an independent team, right? So they don't ever play for conference championships. And for Arizona State, this is a newer thing, right? This team was 3-9 in the last 2 seasons, a program that was pretty much left for dead. And when Kenny got here in just his second season, being able to win a conference, I think goes, it has to go a long way in this discussion, right? Obviously, Notre Dame is independent. Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State in year 1 picked to finish dead last, dominated the competition when they needed to. And in the college football playoff, I think they solidified the fact that, they belonged there. They belonged in that game. They belonged in that discussion.
Do you know when votes were cast?
I don't know when the votes
because stopped. that I think will determine a lot. I think if the votes were cast in the past week or two, it's probably going to go to Marcus Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, it's probably going to go to Marcus Freeman anyway.
Do you think, what do you think has to do with that? Just the fact that they are in the championship game?
Awards are also usually a year late too, and Notre Dame is a much more recognizable brand. You've already seen Kenny, and Ben brings this up in chat. How many Coach of the Year awards are there? Didn't Kenny lose one already? There is a separate one,
he
a
lost
sponsored
Home Depot
one.
Coach of the Year.
Blank Coach of the Year. No free ads. And
Casa de Depot.
It usually just feels like with Arizona State, like everybody's always a year late, right? And I get it because it's just the way that it is. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. But it just feels like one of those, damn, Kenny really earned that. But they gave it to the blue blood Notre Dame Fighting Irish head coach who did have a good season.
Great season.
Right? 1 loss on the year against NIU, which is insane. William in the chat says the
in
NIU
South Bend,
head coach, in South Bend, 16-14 is maybe the biggest anomaly in college sports history, considering what
Notre Dame
has done since then. Okay, sorry. What did NIU? They ended up 8-5, 6.
Not a bad year.
No, not a bad year at all. I mean, but this is the NIU's wins. Week 1,
not good.
Western Illinois. Week 2. Notre Dame, week 3 and 4, lose to Buffalo and lose to North Carolina State.
Dear Lord.
Sorry, that's just a little rabbit hole there. But it feels like Notre Dame is going to get that recognition, and Marcus Freeman's going to get that recognition. He's been a good coach for a long time. Notre Dame's been good for a long time.
Yeah, but he's only been, this is what, year 3, year 4?
Yeah, but it's not, but I think just as far as being recognized as one of the best in college football, he's been around, and sometimes with these awards, it's wait your turn. Which sucks. But that's the way that a lot of awards go.
You have to look at the last couple of award winners. Obviously, Mike Norvell won it, I believe, last season after the year that Florida State had a miraculous season. They didn't make the college football playoff, right? And that was the 4-team college football playoff. They were left out of it. I believe 2021 or 2020, Luke Fickell won it when Cincinnati was able to get to the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. They got killed in their college football playoff game. Yeah, I guess
the Cincinnati one is a good argument pro Kenny, because that's not a program that you look at and you think blue blood, competitive all the time.
No, and they got killed. Again, they got killed in that game, right? I believed who they play, Alabama or Georgia, in that CFP game, and got absolutely dog-walked. Arizona State did not let that happen. They won a conference championship. And I think part of it, you have to look at the year-over-year turnover, right? Or the turnaround, I guess. Again, Arizona State won 6 games combined over the last 2 seasons. This year, they won 11, right? You know the last time Notre Dame had a 9-loss season?
Before the year 2000.
2007 was the last year. I was 10 years old the last time that
Just
Notre
a wee
Dame.
Little lad.
I was even a weeer of a lad at that point.
The weeest of lads.
I was the weeest of lads, I guess, at that
point. That works?
I mean,
that
not
really
really.
Works.
Anthony Totri, the weest of lads.
Oh, look who just got a nickname.
Hey, Lad McConkey. Look, I think it's got to go to Kenny in my mind. after the season that they had.
Okay, are we biased?
I don't think we're being
here?
biased.
And I think that's like the big question, right? Because we're obviously very close to the situation.
Okay.
And we've seen this team. So
but I was also on the other side.
Right, that's true. You are, I guess, you're a house divided.
Yeah.
Right now, you got like
half green, half
the
maroon.
jersey.
Yeah.
Jersey split down the middle.
It's not great that I'm wearing green
that is
today.
tough. That is tough for you. But I'm just curious because like I do wonder what it is like to be a college football fan outside of where we are right now, looking at this program.
Like
right?
You're talking outside looking at this program?
Like an Ohio State fan, right? Who is not affected by Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils at all.
Correct.
Right? What do they think? Right? Like, are we just like, we're so in love because of the turnaround and because we believe in the process and because we've seen it up close? And I'm not saying bias in the sense that we're not valid or that we're not correct.
Yeah.
But more in just that, like, we see everything from this one side, right? And it's all good. Like, even stuff that is behind the scenes, things that, like, you know, isn't, like, discussed out. It's like everything this program does is just mwah.
Yeah.
But I wonder what the perspective is of the people voting, the people who root for Ohio State, the people who root for Michigan, the people who root for Notre Dame's of the world, right? Because obviously you used to cover Notre Dame, but right now you cover Arizona State, right? So it's a different perspective. I just wonder, like, are we blind to something?
I think they are a clear 1 and 2 in this conversation. I think, again, it is going to be up to the voters at that point. The announcement is January 22nd. So here in just a couple of days, you'll find out who is going to be that Bear Bryant Coach of the Year. But for me, again, like it's you've got two completely different sides, right? Do you go with a guy in Kenny, the young gun, transforming a program in a couple seasons, and this year was a peak? Or do you go with a guy that's had a really, really talented program that hasn't reached a national championship in quite some time. And, you know, he managed to get them there in the first ever 12-team playoff.
Do you think there's any way that neither of them win? Because William in the chat saying Curt Cignetti, who did win, like he's won out of all the Coach of the Year awards that have been announced, he has won the one that's been announced so far.
They got spanked in the playoff by Notre Dame.
Okay, but again, when were the votes cast?
Yeah, they did. Well, they didn't even play in a conference championship game.
No, but
they weren't even the best team in their conference.
Cast?
You have to look.
The Coach of the Year stuff was after the championship games, in between the college football playoffs. So we already knew all that about Indiana.
Yeah, but I think they were different finalists. I would assume the votes
had to be cast before the college football playoffs. Because do you know when they're announcing it?
2 days from now. Wednesday, January 22nd.
So if you were going to wait for the college football playoffs to start to vote, you should just wait for them to finish, right? Because it's like...
Which could be how it goes.
No, but if they announce it in 2 days, you're not going to get all the voting in tonight and tomorrow.
There's not that many people voting.
How many people vote?
Not a lot. Not a lot. And again, this is
you vote?
I do not. I do not have a vote for the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year. Do you, Captain Redbeard? That strikes me as something that you'd have like on your resume. Bear Bryant Coach of the Year award voter.
All the votes.
Yeah.
I am the one vote.
You are the vote. You vote for the Heisman. You pick the Heisman.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why Cam Scadaboo wasn't a finalist then?
He just didn't do enough.
Didn't do enough. That's tough.
Davis in the chat says, living in the state of Texas, the state of Texas respects us. The amount of colleagues who could have cared less about us last year, who have said last week that our team is elite, is mind-boggling. Most people I worked with barely knew I was an ASU fan, and when I came back from the Peach Bowl, felt like everyone I knew wanted to talk about how impressed they were with ASU.
I think the national perspective on this program has shifted. A lot of people
for sure
watched Arizona State in that Peach Bowl game, and they were really, really impressed. Like Davis says, like he had on his own personal experience, right? People were impressed with the way that Arizona State played, the season that they had, and I genuinely do think that Kenny Dillingham deserves to be the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year award winner.
And Davis says, and as a teacher, the amount of kids in Texas who said Scadaboo is a dog.
I mean,
teach them young.
The kids know.
The kids know.
Cam Scadaboo's a dog.
I think you could walk away. I think Curt Cignetti could win. I
No,
think
he's
Marcus
not winning.
Freeman could win. I know you don't want him to win. He
I
definitely
don't.
could win.
It's not that I don't want him to win. It's just I don't see an argument for him to win.
I see the
Their
Kurt
team was
Signetti
better.
cutout that you have on the wall here that you're throwing darts at, man.
Just making like if you're, let's say you live in the great state of Indiana,
Exciting.
make an argument for Kurt Signetti over Kenny
No, I don't
Dillingham.
want to do that. I don't want you put me.
Because
I
you
don't want to do
can't.
that.
You
no,
can't.
you totally could. Make,
How?
He
How?
already won.
How?
He already
What's
won
the
a coach
argument?
of the year.
What's the argument?
Why are we yelling?
No, but
about
what's the
this?
argument?
Indiana, as far as like storied football programs go, like is a way, way lower tier program than Arizona State. They've never seen success close to this. We're talking about the last time Indiana had any sort of success in football, period.
When was the last time Arizona State had supreme success?
Supreme success, it was in the 90s.
Okay.
Much more recent than the Indiana Hoosiers.
Are you positive about the Hoosiers?
I'm like
how much?
99% sure.
How much football do you know about the Indiana Hoosiers football program? Let's see. Their last, wow, they have been absolute piss.
Like, what did you think, dude? What did you think? You just thought they've been good? You know college football,
No,
dude.
not good,
They've been
but
a
not-
non-factor.
not-
They've been a
There's a
non-factor
difference-
their entire
See, we're
existence.
arguing now. There's a difference between good and supremely below average. They have been supremely below average for like dating back to when my grandparents were born. Like that's how historically bad they have been.
Yeah,
But
bad.
even looking back to this year, they won as many games as Arizona State did, right? Yes, 11 wins, 11 wins.
Yeah, dude.
So
I'm
this
not
is-
arguing against Arizona State. I'm just saying that
But I'm-
going out there and saying that there's no
There
argument
is
for Kurt
no
Signetti,
argument.
AKA the
Zero
guy who already
argument.
won a Coach of the
Zero
Year award,
argument.
is just that's bias.
Zero chance.
That's bias.
Where
And I
is
love-
the argument?
I
Show
love
me. Peel
Southwest
back the
bias.
curtain. Find me the
William
argument.
says Indiana hasn't had a 10-win season before this year.
I don't give two bleeps how many wins they had. They had the exact same as Kenny.
That is really funny.
Exact same as Kenny, and they did not play in a conference championship game. And Notre Dame sent them to church in the first round of the playoff.
We're not talking playoffs.
But that's what happened.
It is.
That's
Okay.
what happened.
I'm all on board with
What
Kenny.
happened?
We're all on board with Kenny. Okay, don't give me the crazy eyes.
There's
okay?
no argument.
You are looking at me.
There's
you
no
are looking at
argument,
me
dude.
like I just told you that red is blue.
There's
Like,
no argument.
okay.
There's
let's-
a better argument for that the color red is blue than there is for Kurt
Okay.
Signetti
Anything
over
else on
Kenny
this?
Dillingham.
Anything else, chat? Redbeard, Totri.
Nah, I'm good.
Okay, we
Yeah.
good. We're all good. All right, then let's catch our breath, and let's take a break. Do you stink?
You
It's
talking
okay
to me?
if you do. I mean,
No, I don't
I
stink.
know the answer to that.
I've been
one.
told that I smell like a butterfly.
Probably because you use Mando, which is a men's deodorant brand that's hyper-focused on keeping every aspect of a man's body smelling fresh and clean. Mando, listen, it's not just for your pits, all right? It's for the belly buttons, balls, butt cracks, and
Wow.
grundles
A lot of emphasis
of the
on
world
those.
with scents geared towards men. You don't want to stink if you're trying to date, if you're trying to meet new people, if you are trying to just make new friends. You don't want to stink. Make sure that you use Mando and you are able to get money off of your first order. You can use a Mando starter pack. It's perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. And as a special offer for PHNX Sun Devils listeners, new customers can get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code PHNX at shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you.
Absolutely. Look, it's a new year. January somehow is already almost over, but that's okay. There's still plenty of time to get your finances, your money, and your banking done the right way here in 2025. And when we say the right way, we're talking about the Desert Financial way. Guys, for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest and most trusted local credit union. Not one or the other, not the largest, not just the most
Both of them.
trusted, but both. Not to mention, they've been doing it for as long as they have. You guys can look to Desert Financial Credit Union for checkings, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. They have something for everybody, and everybody could use Desert Financial Credit Union. Now is the time to show your ASU team spirit. Open a free checking account online and get this. You're going to get $200. They're gonna give you $200 plus your choice of 3 Arizona State University Visa debit cards. Go to desertfinancial.com/ASU to get started.
Woo, we got a question in chat from South KMX. Says, so which episode did you guys wear the Texas gear on? Haven't been on in a while. We haven't worn it yet. I have talked with Splendid Daddy.
Splendid Daddy.
We have come to an agreement. We are doing a 24-hour stream at some point. Yet to determine the date on that.
Probably sometime in February, right? Is that what we said?
Yeah, we're going to try. We have some conflicting...
We will do it. Once we do it, we will do it.
We have some conflicting schedules. So, and 24-hour stream takes a lot of manpower and a lot of studio power.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. If you're driving a ship
okay,
for 24 hours.
South KMX says boo. I've already talked
to
the
you,
person.
good sir.
I've already talked to Splendid Daddy, who is the purveyor of this bet, and I gave him an option. Because our schedules didn't line up. I'm like, we can wear it now, but we probably wouldn't be on the same show if we were doing immediately. Or we can hold on to it and we can do it during the 24-hour stream. Splendid Daddy, I want this on the record. Write this down. Put it in the papers. Splendid Daddy is the one who said wait until the 24-hour stream.
Yes.
So we are abiding by that. I gave him the choice. That is what we are doing. Insane shirts. Diabolical shirts.
Are we allowed to wear those shirts? I don't know. We
doesn't matter.
Checked.
It's 24. There's gonna be no rules on the 24-hour stream. I'm gonna curse. I'm gonna wear that shirt. I'm gonna take a poop on camera.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's gonna get crazy.
Wow. Make sure you
That's
have
gonna be hour
your
8.
Mando available.
That's gonna be hour 18.
Hour 18.
I'm promising you right now. Hour 18. I'm taking a dump on this desk.
Okay. Wow. Can you please not though? Like for my sake?
No. It's gonna keep us up. It's like smelling salts.
I'd rather have
Sharon said
smelling
not
salts.
the whole time though.
No.
Heck no.
No.
Heck no. Heck no.
Hour
heck
18
no.
is when you use that shirt to wipe what you did.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Yeah,
that would be
absolutely.
great.
Look, there's not a great transition to this.
Not from what we were talking about.
But, of course, at this point, you know that Arizona State landed Jaren Hamilton, former Alabama wide receiver. We had the pleasure last week late to chop it up. Yeah, Friday, chop it up with him, get his thoughts on the program as it stands right now, why he opted to come to Arizona State. Before we play that interview, what stood out to you just about Jaren Hamilton, the person from that discussion?
Another good personality. I think I'm now getting flashbacks to when we were interviewing people in the last transfer portal process and how they all kind of gave off the same, I hate the word vibe, but just like,
hate vibes.
Their
hate vibes.
stance is like a person, right?
Yeah.
In the work. And you can just tell that the message is still very clear for who this program's trying to recruit.
Yeah.
And he's going to fit into that. And also the confidence. And I think that goes hand in hand with what we were talking about. His confidence was next level. And I'm excited for everybody to hear this.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's go ahead. Let's roll into it. This is the newest Arizona State wide receiver, Jaren Hamilton. We've got the newest Arizona State wide receiver, former Alabama wide receiver, Jaren Hamilton. Jaren, just how have the last couple of days been since you committed to ASU, man?
Honestly, it's been great, getting in touch with the new fans, new atmosphere. And I'm not even from the West Coast, so, being out here, really transitioning my life and living out here now, it's been great just to get a new feel of everything. But, yeah, I've been enjoying it.
What was it about Arizona State, Tempe, Kenny Dillingham that was reason number one why you're going to be wearing maroon and gold next season?
Yeah, honestly, just talking with Coach Dillingham, I see why people come here and I see why people stay here. I never experienced this type of stuff before, but, being around him, it made me feel comfortable with my decision of coming out here. And just all the talks we had, talking with Coach Arroyo about the offensive scheme and plan and everything, and it really made me feel comfortable in deciding to come out here to Arizona.
You mentioned it made you feel comfortable. What about it specifically, right? Because obviously this is your first time hitting the transfer portal, but you were a highly recruited kid coming out of high school, 4-star wide receiver, so you were heavily recruited, talked to a lot of coaches and OCs at that time. But what stood out about Kenny and Marcus just in terms of that comfort level for you?
Really just the camaraderie that they have and their relationship outside of football. A lot of times nowadays, people get so caught up in just the ball aspect of everything. But having that relationship with a coach and having it being more than just a coach, somebody who can mentor you through life and really help you grow as a man and as a person. So talking with him, it really was it was nice. It was comforting because for the first time, it felt like somebody actually understood me through all this football stuff and like, in college and all that. So I really felt like it was just somebody. I really felt comfortable with him though. So yeah.
You also mentioned the football scheme, and I know that some people focus too much on it, but it is still a pretty big part of where you want to end up, especially to make your mark in college football. With Arizona State's wide receiver room, with their scheme, what about your talents and your abilities fits right in here?
Oh, I mean, I feel like it meshed pretty well with my speed, my size, my athletic ability, my ability to just be explosive around the field. Like, I feel like I'm gonna mesh pretty well. And even when we was going through some of the stuff, a lot of the schemes and play calling, I recognized it. And not only that, but like I can see myself doing those type of things asked by the coaches and even more. So it definitely it was nice to see all that and hear all that and being able to relate to a lot of the stuff that they were running.
How much did Arizona State having their quarterback of the future in Sam Levitt in Tempe for the long, foreseeable future? How much of that impacted your decision, and just how excited are you to start hitting the field with Sam Levitt?
I wouldn't say it was the biggest part, but it definitely played a role because seeing, I kind of kept up with them, like, when Scoutable and all that was, they was making noise. So I tuned in and I definitely watched the quarterback. But definitely being around here more and learning more about it definitely got me more excited to get out there on the field with him. Like, we need to go. What today is? Like Friday, yeah, definitely. Within the next couple of days, I'm gonna definitely be on the field with him. I just been getting acclimated and moving all my stuff and all that. But definitely, when I get stuff right, we're gonna hit the field for sure.
So we've mentioned Kenny, we've mentioned Marcus, we've mentioned Sam. There's also wide receivers coach Hines Ward, which is a pretty crazy name in football. Is it a little surreal, the fact that he's going to be coaching your position group?
It's crazy. I ain't even know he won Super Bowl MVP. I ain't even know that. But definitely, with his experience, with his longevity in NFL, like he didn't seen and did it all. So it's like, what better coach would you want rather than somebody who really lived and played at that high level? So definitely, I'm excited about that.
And one of the things that Hines is really high on is his wide receivers getting down and dirty, blocking, being really physical. You feel like you're going to fit in with that identity?
Yeah, of course. Coming from Bama, like, they preach that a lot. Like, if you don't block, you ain't getting the ball. So I feel like that ain't gonna be no challenge for me. I pride myself in doing things like that anyways. Like, it's football, you gotta get in the dirt anyway, so you might as well do everything around it. So yeah.
Is there a receiver that you've watched, whether it be growing up or right now in the league, other guys in college football that maybe you model your game after a little bit?
I definitely say CeeDee Lamb and Jameson Williams. I've always watched CeeDee throughout his time at Oklahoma and just how smooth his route running is. I sometimes try to mimic that, like with the tempo that I'm running at. I don't always have to be the fastest, even though I know I am and I can be. You don't always have to show your speed 100% through every route. But then when it's time to show the speed, I like people like Jameson Williams because he just all gas. Like, it's no really stopping him. Like, that boy, he electric, and I really look up to those two and model my game after.
How excited are you to maybe get in on the special teams side of things? You've seen some success in that area, tackling and also returning back in high school. Are you excited to get on that side of the football too?
Yeah, basically the easiest way I can put it, I want to be all around the field all at once. Like, wherever the team need me, wherever I can be most effective at, that's where I'm gonna be. Like, you can see me on kick returns, punt returns, whatever. You might see me go down on punts, the tackle. Like, it don't matter. Like, I'm just trying to be on the field and really be a contributor to the team.
I know you've only been here a few days, but what are the early comparisons between Tuscaloosa and Tempe?
Y'all trying to get me. This life, it's nice out here. It's real nice, and you don't have to travel 3 hours to get to a city for real. So I'm gonna have fun, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna work and do all that. So it's all here. Whatever you want is all here. I don't have to, go outside the city to do whatever. Like, it's all here right in my backyard. So definitely, and I've been enjoying the scenery out here too. It's nice, it's different. I've really been enjoying it.
What did you learn from your time in Tuscaloosa? Obviously, going to Alabama is not for the weak. It's a pretty intense program, very high standards. What are you going to be taking as lessons learned from the Crimson Tide over to Tempe?
Really, the hard work aspect, like definitely working for what you want. Like there, it's not just to come in and jump high and run fast. Like you definitely got to work regardless of who you is, because it's athletes from all over the country, the best athletes from all over the country that go there. So definitely the hard working piece and just staying consistent. Like it's days that can be hard and they pile up on each other and you just feel like, dang, like I'm in a slump or whatever. But definitely staying consistent, because being at Alabama tests you on all levels beyond imaginable. Like, so having that piece and trying to stay consistent throughout everything, whether it's school, on the field, social life, just with your family, just staying consistent all around and being the best that I can be.
Absolutely. Jaren, just a couple more questions and we'll get you out of here. First off, I got to know, do you have a number that you're going to be 100% rocking this coming season at Arizona State? Have you picked it yet? Is there a reason behind the number that you're picking?
I'm wearing number 16. I actually got it tatted on my arm. I got it tatted like my 18th birthday. So the reason behind that number is really where I grew up at and where a lot of my life, like I spent with my family. Like it was basically this neighborhood in Gainesville and like the house we stayed at. But in that house is where like all my family would be. We had cookouts and stuff. Like it was just a lot of just family camaraderie. And I feel like that area, that neighborhood is where a lot of my ideologies and stuff was formed. Like it's really where I came into this world at. So definitely that piece. It's like it's just home for me. So that's why I'm wearing 16.
100%, man. Look, before we get you out of here, obviously the Arizona State community is super, super excited to have you in Tempe on that Arizona State roster playing with the Sun Devils this season. Do you just have a message to Sun Devil Nation with what they're getting out of you, the newest wide receiver at Arizona State?
Hey, just be ready, bro. All I gotta say, just be ready. When that ball get in my hands, is something good gonna happen every time. So just be ready. I ain't gonna say too much.
Love it. Exciting stuff. The newest Arizona State wide receiver, Jaren Hamilton.
Hard not to get hyped up after that. We have more thoughts on this. Plus, we're talking a little Jayden Daniels, and eventually we're going to go Bobby Hurley hot seat after this break. Oh, our friends over at Pure Edibles.
They're family at this point.
It's, sometimes you just know. And with Pure Edibles, you just know. Full-fledged candy company, of course, offering gummies, Kicks, which is their version of Starburst, chews, and hard candies. I'll tell you this. The Kicks are my favorite. But the best part about Pure Edibles isn't just that they tell you sativa, indica, whatever. No. Of course, they have different combinations of things like CBN, CBG, CBD, and of course, THC. But on the tin packaging, which by the way, it's so cool. You open up the tin. It tells you what effects you're going to feel, whether it's balanced out, uplifted, blissful, sleepy, energized, relaxed, right?
I need some blissful ones.
Yeah, blissful is the one that I've been eating recently.
Yeah.
And it's really, really good. And you can get them at over 130 dispensaries statewide. You can rip them in half. You can eat little pieces. It's easy to dose. And of course, they're a local product. Go find yourself some Pure Edibles at over the 130 dispensaries in Arizona. Tell them that
Erik
Anthony
Ruby
Totri
sent ya. Tell them that. Look, head over to Circle K.
Do it.
Okay. I'm not gonna sit here and act like we don't tell you this every single day. And I think it's wild if you haven't already signed up for Inner Circle because of how many times we've told you how easy it is. Literally, take the next 40 seconds to go to the App Store, download it, enter your email and phone number, and that's it. That's all you got to do.
That's it.
You're fully enrolled, and the next time you pull up to the pump, well, you're going to start saving money, like saving 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. And then every single day after that, y'all can save money too. Save 3 cents per gallon as well. Not to mention, there's plenty of other exclusive deals and discounts. Again, Inner Circle, it's Circle K's free membership program. Enjoy your member exclusive beverage deal. Inner Circle members can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents, less than a buck. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details.
What was your favorite part were his favorite answer in that interview?
I think this might be a little bit of a cop out, but just the conversation that he had with Kenny and Marcus to feel comfortable in him saying that he's never really experienced anything like that before in terms of that comfort level, right? Because I feel like that's an interesting way to make that decision, especially when you are a kid that was a highly touted recruit coming out of high school.
Went to Alabama.
And this recruiting process is not new, right? It's not new to him, as it's not new to a lot of these high-profile kids. So saying that you'd never had a conversation like that or committing to a place just based off of comfort, I think that is something that is so unique in today's era.
Yeah.
To hear that from an athlete, to not say, hey, it was because money, not because I can win right now. And again, that doesn't mean they can't do those things. That doesn't mean that, those weren't big factors. But for him to say, having that conversation with Kenny and Marcus, I felt comfy. That's why I wanted to come here. I think that goes a long way.
It goes a long way. Now you have more to sell than just that too, which is really nice, where you have the comfortability part of it. You have the relatability, hey, we're young. I'm not going to say we're hip because then you're not young anymore if you say we're young and hip.
Hip, but that's what Kyle says.
But we can relate. That's rude. That's really rude, actually.
Where did that come from?
Dude, he does this sometimes. He will just take the most random shots.
That's ridiculous.
Was that a shot?
I don't know, but you just say some random instigating things. Like the other day,
I like to push buttons.
The other day when somebody asked where the remote was, and instead of saying you didn't know,
that really
you just blamed me. You said, I don't know, Erik did it. And it's like, dude, you don't know that. Anyway. You're also selling winning ways.
Life is my little brother.
You're also selling winning ways as well. I think what stood out to me, the very end, because again, I'm getting kind of like flashbacks to talking to Javen Robinson, right? Talking to Justin Watley, right? Talking to players who committed to come to Arizona State, right? And they all said, oh, just watch, right? Just wait. When I get out on the field, I'm going to make a difference, right? And with Jaren, you can see with his skill set, you watch his high school tape, right? Like you could see this guy contributing this year. Yeah. And that's the type of player that Kenny and them want. And so just hearing him say that just kind of reinstilled that purpose. So yeah, it'd be nice.
BC in the chat saying Erik missed a basketball post game for his son's watch along the other day. He did. And I was sentenced to the minibar.
It's hard to balance these two things, BC, and that's why I'm on this show today.
Yeah. And tomorrow.
And tomorrow.
And the next day.
And like 98% of days.
I'm not saying he said it, man. I don't know why you're coming at me. Let's calm down.
I think BC just gets angry with me sometimes.
BC,
okay.
yeah. I mean,
I think not angry. BC's more disappointed in me.
Yeah, he's like a father.
If I could clone myself for BC, I would do it. So that I can be on both shows.
There we go. I needed you to specify that a little bit more, as opposed to just saying that you would be a body clone. Do you want to go from one current Arizona State Sun Devil to a former Arizona State Sun Devil?
I think we would be remiss if we didn't bring up Zane Gonzalez.
Yes, Zane Gonzalez headed to the NFC Championship game. Kicker for the Washington Commanders.
ASU legend.
ASU legend for sure, literally. Alongside former Arizona State and former LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels.
That guy went to ASU?
Yeah.
He must have been really good.
He was all right. He's all right.
I remember, not to go down memory lane.
Memory lane, here we go.
I remember was my junior? Was that your senior year?
I don't know where you're going from this.
It was Jayden Daniels' first year at ASU.
His freshman year?
His freshman year was your senior year, right?
Google's a fun thing, isn't it?
Because I'm pretty sure it was my junior year, and I was on the call for Blaze Radio, and I called the Jayden Daniels debut against the
Michigan State Spartans.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
NAU?
Nope.
I don't know.
The Kent State Golden Flashes.
Yeah, you're right. Kent State. Michigan State was the third game that year.
Yeah, Michigan State was the third game. And
2019.
He made some throws. So yeah, that was your senior year, right? Or junior year?
That was my senior year.
I'm being stupid.
Who cares?
I care. He made some crazy throws that game, and I remember the hype leading up to him committing here, right? Him being like, oh wow, this is like our guy. This guy's gonna be legit.
Dog.
And then you look back at it now and you're like, yeah, he was a dog. He was legit. He was a one of one. right? He just happened to be all of those things in the places that are built for him to succeed.
Yeah.
Which is not Arizona State University.
Well,
at
it
that
wasn't
time.
at the time.
At that time.
Yeah.
If Jayden Daniels was here now, that'd be different. Considered but back then it was, I mean, not even just Jayden Daniels though, right? You had multiple NFL players.
Yeah,
on that
you had
team.
Brandon Ayuk. I believe Rashad White or Eno Benjamin was on that team. I think it was Eno. Yeah, you had a roster littered with talent on both sides of the ball, and you couldn't do diddly squat. I did an entire audio-only episode last summer, kind of breaking down, I believe, this 2019 season as to why it was a failure. And it was obviously all Herm, right? And I don't want to sit here and say that Jayden Daniels would have been, this good if he would have stayed at Arizona State.
Right.
Because I think Brian Kelly and that LSU culture at that time helped him really get the experience that he needed. And he, Herm was a bad football coach.
Yes.
Which he was a bad coach in the NFL, bad coach in college.
It wasn't just that he didn't follow the rules.
No,
right?
he was a
that's
bad football
coach.
coach.
That's what made it so bad, was you don't just look back at it and say, oh, he was really bad on the field. Most penalized team I've ever seen in my entire life, right?
Disorganized.
So unorganized. And the fact that there was these pieces about Herm Edwards' work ethic and him getting up early in the morning, it's like, dude, shut up.
My grandpa gets up in the morning too.
And he could call a better offense.
It's the same thing. I don't know about that. But there is and I don't mean to say this as it's mean, but going to those practices the final year of Herm, he was just a senile man walking the field. That's what he was. It didn't look like he knew. It didn't look like he knew what was going on. Didn't look like he had any, strong passion to be at Arizona State.
Right.
It was a waste of talent. And that's what you see that now, right? Seeing Jayden Daniels do what he's doing at the next level, not just this season, but specifically in the last two playoff games, right? Very first playoff game on the road at Tampa, 24-35, completes nearly 70% of his passes, over 265 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. How do you follow that up? You go on the road to the number 1 seed that just had a bye, 22-31, 299 through the air, 2 touchdowns. Win by 14 points.
It was good.
Better than good. People are saying that he's the best rookie quarterback of all time. And I'm not going to go that far because I think statistically there are 2 individuals that have had significantly better seasons.
Mark Sanchez.
No. I'll be curious. Actually, can you name the 2 quarterbacks statistically that have not that I think statistically have had better rookie years?
Rookie quarterbacks with better year. Kyle's ready. Go Kyle.
Kyle's ready.
I know one.
You know one of them. There's 2. Both were in the AFC.
Oh, Kyle, give me one. Give me the one that you know.
Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Luck
He
was
went off.
one of the best quarterbacks of all time as a rookie year.
Yeah.
Recent?
Yes.
Recent AFC quarterback. I don't know why. You know how I am. I'm blanking.
You're blanking.
I'm blanking.
Not Russell Wilson.
I'm about to say that's not an AFC quarterback, brother.
Justin Herbert.
Oh, yuck.
And I'm not saying.
Of course you know.
No,
that.
dude. I knew that was gonna get biased there.
Of course you know.
Can you do me a favor? All of us. We're gonna do this together. I want you to pull up Jayden Daniels' rookie season numbers.
Brother.
I want you to pull up Andrew Luck's rookie season numbers. Okay, that's all I want. And I want to have this conversation once and for all.
Are we having is Jayden Daniels the greatest rookie quarterback of all time conversation?
That is the conversation we are having. Statistically, I think, I don't want to go too far into the numbers because I think winning these playoff games means a lot. I would say it certainly factors into the rookie season that he has had. He absolutely deserves, to get all the credit that he's gotten. But statistically, there are quarterbacks that have had better rookie seasons.
Okay, so here's Jayden Daniels so far.
Let's start with completion percentage.
Completion percentage, 69%.
Okay. What was Andrew Luck's?
54.1%.
His rookie year.
2012.
And Herbert, 66.6.
So Jayden Daniels, check.
More accurate.
Okay. But on how many completions and attempts though? Because that also matters. Jayden Daniels, 331 completions, 480 attempts.
Andrew Luck?
339 to 627.
Okay, see, it wasn't
and Herbert, 396 to 595.
Okay, so Jayden Daniels attempted the least amount and completed the least amount, but still relatively the same.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Yards.
Passing touch. Okay, yards. That's fine.
3,568 yards for Jayden Daniels.
Andrew Luck and Herbert had significantly more.
4,374.
Yeah, Herbert 4,336.
Right. That's called the Cliff Kingsbury offense. 7.4 yards per completion.
7.3 for Herbo.
7.
For Luck. Passing touchdowns.
25.
23.
31 for Herbert.
Interceptions. 9.
10.
18.
Yeah.
So Andrew Luck was out of the conversation.
He was a turnover.
He was throwing it.
He also he played on a horrible offensive line. I'm pretty sure he had a ridiculous amount of fumbles that year too. Yeah, he had a rough.
How many sacks?
Herbert was sacked 32 times.
47 for Daniels.
47?
47
Wow.
for
Jeez.
Daniels.
How many was
41.
Yeah. Okay. Rushing yards, I think that goes into it. In rushing touchdowns.
Yards.
Almost 1,000.
891 rushing yards for Jayden Daniels.
How many touchdowns?
6.
Herbert had 234, 5 touchdowns.
Okay.
Luck?
Rushing yards, 255.
How many
Daniels
rushing touchdowns?
5.
5.
Daniels clears in that category.
Yeah, absolutely.
More touchdowns, more yards. Only 3 fumbles on the season. Has a tackle.
But I think those 3 clearly have had the best rookie.
I mean, I'm sure there are probably
Quarterback
people like
seasons.
40 years ago who had pretty decent ones.
These two, Luck and Herbert before Daniels, absolutely cleared the competition.
Yeah, I think it's in the conversation. I mean, he is clearly the most NFL ready out of any quarterback in the class. I'm going to be honest. I was wrong. I always thought he was talented. I didn't think he was going to be NFL ready like this.
You didn't think he was this guy?
I didn't think he was going to be NFL ready like this. He seemed like the kind of guy that was going to need 3 to 4 years in the NFL to get his body weight up a little bit. But this VR stuff, I think, is fascinating. But
Yeah, that is really cool.
I think that is something where it's like, hey, that could be something that you can look at and say, what does the future hold? But I think he has an argument, and it's hard because I think Arizona State fans, I think there are some that are rooting against him. I think it's more just like a damn, we had you, type of thing. Not like I'm preying on his downfall, but
no, I personally want him to go as far as possible at this point.
Like what could have been, right? And I think that's really good for him. I'm really glad that in his career he was able to do something and to be in the conversation, to win a Heisman, to be a top pick, to also look back and say, hey, I have a legitimate argument for best rookie season from a quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah. Imagine if I would have told you in 2019, right? Sit back, take yourself back to 2019. Okay. And we're having a conversation, and I'm from the future. I'm like, Erik, in the year 2024, the year of our Lord, or 2025, the year of our Lord, I apologize. Jayden Daniels, quarterback for the Washington Commanders, 2nd overall pick in the 2024 draft, Heisman winner, is a win away from making the Super Bowl in his rookie season with the Washington Commanders.
That would have been the craziest part.
Yeah, at that part, you're like, the Commanders.
With Cliff Kingsbury as his
offensive coordinator.
If you told me that, I would say then he's hit, that's best case scenario for his career.
Yeah.
I didn't think it'd be impossible, but I certainly did not think that was the likely scenario. And good for him for putting that work in and doing that. It really is all on him.
Yeah.
Right? Sure, Brian Kelly and LSU helped, right? But he has done this himself, and that's really impressive. I'm very proud of him.
Love that. Sorry, we just had breaking news, not as it relates to us, but interesting stuff for All City Network here.
Oh, wow. Ben Johnson.
Adam Schefter reporting that Chicago is finalizing a deal to hire Lions OC Ben Johnson.
That's great for
as
Caleb
its next
Williams.
head coach.
Wow.
It's great for the Bears.
Hey, Noah, you see Ben Johnson's gone?
Ben Johnson to the Bears, Noah.
He rolled his eyes.
The Lions fan in the office. Look, we are going to shift gears completely. Go to basketball.
It's not what it sounds like to shift gears.
You're right, not at all. But we are going to take our final break first.
I am struggling to pull the ad document up right now.
It's okay. Well, what are you wearing? What are you wearing on your
I'm wearing a Brandon Bills.
There
You
you
can just
go.
tell me a Brandon. I don't even need the ad document for our friends over at Branded Bills, because truly nobody does it better. Look, computer closed. Performance and style, Branded Bills, they are just the way to go. It's the most comfortable hat that you could wear. It's the most stylish hat that you could wear. It's not falling apart. It's breathable material, best for working out, podcasting, walking around, putting on a fit, trying to impress the ladies, whatever it is.
All the
Branded
things.
Bills has you covered with performance and style. Snapbacks, truckers, fitted, beanies, and tees. You can get custom logos. I have a custom PHNX, PHNX one, but if you have your own company, fantasy football league, whatever.
Oh, I didn't even think of fantasy.
Exactly. It's pretty cool, right? Branded Bills is here to help you, and they're a local company. They have partnerships with your Big 12 champion Arizona State Sun Devils, and they do, charity work with those lowly Arizona Wildcats. They just have everything covered here in the Valley, and you can use code PHNX for 20% off your first order over at brandedbills.com. All off the dome.
That was just
Terrible.
That was shmoney. That high five was horrendous. Horrendous. Look, guys, obviously the college football season ends tonight, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't get out and go to some more, whether college basketball games, college baseball games, or you want to maybe go check out the NBA, the NHL. Does not matter. Game Time has you covered with a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. If you are a procrastinator like myself, then Game Time is the place to go because the deals get better the longer you wait. I wish it worked like that in college. If, the longer I waited on homework, the better the grade I got. But unfortunately, it didn't. Shout out Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest priced, guaranteed. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you are still listening on audio and you haven't done it already, please drop a 5-star review. Let us know what you like about this podcast. Maybe let us know which of Mr. Rubus's nicknames you like the most.
Which one you like the least?
What was the one we discussed the other day?
That I liked or that I
Langston
hated?
something, right? It started with an L.
Lacombo was the last name.
Yeah.
Legarius Lacombo.
Something like that.
Yeah,
something
it was
like
it was the name that College Football 25 gave like a white cornerback. Was
yeah,
Legarius.
100%. Davis
Yeah.
in the chat with a super chat. We appreciate you a lot, Davis, saying appreciate the show, brothers. Absolutely. We're here 5 days out of the week.
True. And speaking of Davis also said, crew, I would appreciate y'all sharing that amongst the things needed to be fixed in ASU athletics is one program that hasn't had its equipment replaced since 2008 and could use help with donations. The ASU marching band hasn't gotten new instruments or uniforms since 2008. Donations would help replace these instruments that are currently held together with zip ties and duct tape, which is crazy because they have an incredible marching band.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do.
Definitely. I don't know if there is a direct link to donate, Davis. I know that obviously, NIL is not something that's going to the marching band.
Yeah.
So if there is a way besides Sun Angel that we can help out with that, if you could drop a link in here so that we could have everybody, because everybody who's in here is probably going to be the people most likely to help out and donate. So if you could shoot us a link or a way to help out with that, would love to. But something else that needs help.
Absolutely. The Arizona State basketball program. Let's go ahead and get into Factor Cap, brought to you by Branded Bills. Of course, elevate your brand with Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. Erik, we are going to keep this one simple. Arizona State, they've got themselves a Big 12 matchup against West Virginia on Tuesday night. Is Bobby Hurley on the hot seat? Fact or cap?
Is or should he?
Is he?
Cap he is. Fact he should be.
Fact he should be on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Cap he is.
I don't know. I don't know what Arizona State's going to do about Bobby Hurley. And let me follow that up by saying that I respect the hell out of Bobby Hurley. And he brings some legitimate big time benefits to your program.
Absolutely.
Right? Like his name recognition, his recruiting.
He's a very solid recruiter.
All of that.
With that said,
the on-court product has been atrocious.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. It's really disappointing. Not because I fully expected them to turn everything around, but I did expect them to be better, right?
Yeah.
And you look in a game and you look at like, where's your offensive identity? Where's your team identity? Where's the cohesion? What sets are you running? Like, what schemes are you putting out there to take advantage of who your best players are?
Yeah.
Right. And it just feels like the only success that Arizona State offense succeeds is when individual talent taps into that individual talent. And that's great, man. Like, that's awesome to have talent that, you know, a couple possessions a game could just get you a bucket, right? Can block a shot, can play really good. If you're not getting the most out of those players who have that talent, and now you're in the Big 12, where the diamond tester comes around and checks to see if you got real diamonds or not.
And there are a lot of real
And
diamonds.
right now, that machine's flashing red
Yeah.
for the Sun Devils.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Arizona State. The last few games, 67-60 loss to Cincinnati on the road, a 95-89 loss to UCF at home, a 72-62 or 66 loss to Baylor at home, 74-55 loss to Kansas. And the one win in this conference that they've gotten is a 20-point dub over Colorado. Before that, they opened conference play with a 20-point loss
To BYU, who's not been great.
You are 1-5 in conference. Your next two games, you're on the road Tuesday at West Virginia. They're number 23 in the country. And then you're back at home on Saturday against the number 3 team in the country in Iowa State.
Yeah, and we already looked at Kansas, Baylor, Cincinnati, and
You
talked
got
about
Arizona
you had to win
still
one
twice.
of those.
You got Arizona still twice. You have Houston. You've got BYU again. You've got Iowa State, West Virginia, a Texas Tech team
Texas
twice.
Tech team that's good. Like Texas Tech is a good basketball team.
Like right now, this team doesn't. They I mean, if you're
They don't
going
have the
game
juice.
by game,
They're going to end up at their current trajectory.
he's a
They're
great
going to
recruiter.
end up a bottom 4 team in the Big 12.
If they don't turn it around.
Yeah, at their current trajectory, right? And that sucks.
Yeah.
With this roster, with this level of talent, Williams says Bobby is Cliff Kingsbury, can recruit but can't coach a full season to save his life. Perhaps a demotion will do the same for him like it did
He's
for
not
Cliff.
taking a demotion, though. That's the
Right,
thing.
no,
It's
he's
like
not
Bobby
going to.
is-
Okay, one of the things that I hate sometimes is like, and not from like you, but it's like in general, is like, oh, well, it's not going to happen, so like, let's not talk about it. Like, that's what we were saying about Bradley Beal coming off the bench. It's not going to happen. Let's not talk about it. Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Even
Okay.
if it's unlikely. We can acknowledge that it's unlikely. We can acknowledge that it's
severely
probably
unlikely.
We can acknowledge it's probably not going to happen. But let's talk about it, right? Bobby Hurley as like your GM, as your liaison to ASU basketball.
Your recruiting
right?
coordinator.
Your recruiting coordinator who's also a coach, right? But not the head coach, right? He's your like what was it? Marvin Lewis was for ASU football, like
Yeah.
what do they call it?
Just a special assistant.
Like a special assistant, right? And so if Bobby,
I want
could,
that title, by the way.
You are my special assistant. If Bobby could find a world where he could tap into his name brand, his recruiting power, he knows the game of basketball really well.
does.
But just because you know the game of basketball well doesn't make you a good coach. We've seen it with great point guards in the NBA, right? Like we've seen it with mediocre point guards. We've seen it with players. Like sometimes it's hard for players to step up and be the best coaches because they only think from their playing perspective.
Yeah.
Right. I'm at the point where this is ASU's best basketball coach they've ever had. But the product itself is not good.
No, it's not good right now.
And it's had some highs, but it's never had the highs it was supposed to.
Correct. And I think, again, like, we can have this conversation about him taking a demotion. It'll never happen, right? And again, I see what you're saying. Like, we can have the conversation. It's different, I think, when you have a coach versus a player, right? The coach obviously has so much power versus what a player has.
Yeah.
Like Bradley
and a
Beal.
coach like Bobby Hurley, too.
Yeah, like, again, if Bobby wanted to go be a coach somewhere else, he would be before taking a demotion at Arizona State.
Okay, well, I gave my answer to wrap things up. Fact or cap? Bobby Hurley's on the hot seat.
I think cap. I don't think regardless.
But do you think it should be?
Yes, I do. I think, there does need to be a little bit more pressure. I don't think Bobby Hurley's going anywhere after the end of the season, regardless of the outcome. And, I don't think ASU basketball fans are very happy with the situation at hand here. Obviously, if you guys are still watching us on television, the party always continues.
Always.
At gophnx.com. But yeah, I think at that point, right, like this team needs some juice. You got to find a way to get one of these big wins to maybe spark what you've got going for the rest of the season.
You
need
can turn it
Josan
around.
Sannon back.
Yeah.
And you
That's
need
huge.
Jayden.
I mean, that's a big part of the last couple of games is you haven't had a healthy Sannon.
Well, it's what I talked about on the postgame show when I was sentenced to the minibar is like Jayden Quains is starting to develop into the player that you want him to be. Right. Offensively, he's got a little bit more of a bag now. 15 points, 14 boards, 5 blocks. There is I have 100% confidence that by the time this season is over, he can be a 20, 10, and 4 player every single game. But you don't have the consistent shooting output from somebody else, right, to go out there and score at all 3 levels and be a threat. Yes, BJ Freeman gives you a little bit of that. Yes, Austin Mason gives you a little bit of that. Josan Sannon's a star on this team, and you need those 2 fully healthy if this team is going to do anything for the remainder of this season.
And it's not just about the wins and losses, right? And I get it without Sannon. It's more about the process. Like, can you overcome losing your best offensive player?
Right now, the answer is no.
Right, and I'm not even saying overcome it in the fact that you need to win games, but can you look like a competent offense? And the answer is no, and that's not okay, and something needs to change, and maybe it will. But I just think back to Idaho State and how I felt then, and I feel that way now.
Absolutely. Look, we agreed on the way out, man. Good
Look
stuff.
at us.
Guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button on your way out. That is going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devils show. If you are watching live, highly recommend you go check out the PHNX Suns show. We got a watch along going on.
Got a watch along going right now.
I'm
going to tag in there, and then of course we have a post game show.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Go tap in, enjoy their content as well. We will be back Tuesday for an Arizona State West Virginia post-game show. So definitely make sure you guys are there for that. If you enjoy the content, you can follow us at PHNX_Sun Devils. Highly, highly recommend. You can follow this guy at Erik Ruby. That is Senor Rubis over there. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow the man behind the ship, steering the wheel, keeping the vessel afloat, Captain Redbeard at K Coop Sports. And like I said, we will see you on Tuesday. But in the meantime, guys, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.